The 1600s, London had already grown into one of Europe's largest cities, with its population nearing 500,000. It was a tightly packed, rapidly expanding urban centre, shaped by commerce, river traffic, and the constant flow of people along the Thames. In this video, modern AI techniques are used to reanimate historic paintings and engravings, letting us alter viewpoints, shift camera angles, and move through these scenes in ways the original artists could never have imagined. To begin, it's worth focusing on what is now known as Old London Bridge, a structure I came to understand far better through this research. By the 1600s, it was no longer just a way to cross the river. It functioned as a tightly packed street raised above the Thames, connecting the City of London to Southwark. Homes, shops, storehouses, chapels and gatehouses filled the span so densely that from afar, it looked less like a bridge and more like an unbroken neighbourhood stretched across the water. The structure stood on a line of narrow stone arches held up by enormous piers, which squeezed the tidal waters of the Thames as they passed beneath. This restriction created fierce currents that made navigation dangerous, and boats trying to pass through the arches often struggled against sudden surges, leading to frequent accidents. Above, the buildings climbed several stories high, many jutting out over the roadway, with residents living directly above the unending flow of carts, horses, and people moving below. Fire posed an ever-present threat, and overcrowding was impossible to escape, yet generations still chose to live and work there. To cross Old London Bridge was to move through a vital centre of commerce, while passing under clear symbols of power and control. Beneath it, the Thames served as London's main thoroughfare, its waters packed with barges, ferries, merchant ships, and small riverboats transporting grain, timber, coal, cloth, and goods from far beyond the city. The river linked London to the heart of England, to continental Europe, and to the broader Atlantic world, turning the bridge into a meeting place for everyday life and international trade. During especially harsh winters, the narrowed flow beneath the bridge's arches sometimes caused the Thames to freeze. On these rare occasions, the river briefly changed character, with people venturing onto the ice to walk and gather beneath the bridge, a remarkable contrast to the threat the water normally posed. This scene depicts the northern approach to the bridge, reached through the area beside St. Magnus the Martyr's Church, visible on the left. By the middle of the 18th century, the structure had fallen into such poor condition that authorities chose to clear and redesign it. Between 1756 and 1762, the buildings that had packed Old London Bridge for hundreds of years were slowly taken down. Although the artwork itself dates to the 1700s, it captures a crossing that had already influenced London's life and development for centuries. Remarkably, this location can still be visited today. What sets Old London Bridge apart is not just its engineering, but how long it endured as a place people actively lived in. It served at once as infrastructure, marketplace, neighbourhood, and symbol. Kings and ordinary citizens crossed it alike. Merchants and labourers earned their living there, and for many newcomers, this narrow passage was their first encounter with London. Old London Bridge was cramped, gloomy, and frequently unsanitary. It restricted movement, clogged trade, and exposed those who lived and worked there to constant danger. Even so, it remained essential for centuries. Until the 18th century, it was the only fixed crossing over the Thames in central London, making it impossible to travel north or south through the city without using it. At times, I find myself wishing I could step back and experience this place as it once was, even for a single day. For now, this AI reconstruction feels like the closest possible approach to that vision. This scene shows Buckingham House in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. Long before it evolved into Buckingham Palace, it was built as a private residence on London's western edge, set apart from the crowded city centre and surrounded by open fields and gardens. At the time, This location marked the transition between the city and the countryside beyond, a reminder that even as London became more densely built, its boundaries were still clearly defined. In September 1666, London was hit by one of the most destructive fires it had ever known. What started as a minor outbreak rapidly spread through a city dominated by timber construction, narrow streets, and tightly packed buildings, allowing the flames to grow beyond control. The first scene shows Ludgate engulfed in fire, with old St. Paul's Cathedral visible in the distance, its square tower already under threat. Before long, even this vast landmark would be overtaken by the blaze. The second scene looks across the Thames near Tower Wharf on the evening of September 4th. London appears as an unbroken line of flames. London Bridge stands to the left, while the Tower of London to the right narrowly avoids destruction. At the centre of the skyline, Old St. Paul's burns fiercely. Within only a few days, much of medieval London was reduced to ashes. Yet the disaster became a turning point, sweeping away centuries of dense building and compelling the city to rebuild, reorganise, and start anew. Dominating the riverside, the Tower of London in the 1600s occupied the heart of royal authority. By this period, it served as a fortress, weapons store, treasury, and one of England's most feared prisons. Prominent figures accused of treason were confined within its walls. The tower also safeguarded royal documents, arms, and the crown jewels, emphasizing its importance not merely as a place of imprisonment, but as a central pillar of the English state. This scene depicts Cheapside in 1638, one of London's most significant ceremonial streets, during the procession of Marie de Medici as she entered the city to visit her daughter, Queen Henrietta Maria, and King Charles I. Cheapside was more than a commercial route. It also served as a setting for royal spectacle, lined with conduits, crosses, and temporary structures erected for public occasions. At its centre stood the Cheapside Cross, a well-known landmark and meeting place. As soldiers, officials, and crowds filled the street beneath the display, events like this revealed mounting political and religious strain, with Henrietta Maria's Catholic faith and foreign background unsettling a city already edging towards civil war. Today, this stretch survives as modern Cheapside in the City of London near St Mary Le Bow, where the street endures even though its medieval landmarks are long gone. This image presents the political and religious heart of Westminster in 1647, seen from across the Thames at a time when England was profoundly divided. To the left rises the old Palace of Westminster, home to Parliament and the centre of political authority. By the middle of the 17th century, it had become the main stage for escalating tension between the monarchy and Parliament, particularly during the years of the English Civil War. Beside it stands Westminster Hall, one of the oldest and most imposing surviving sections of the palace, long used for courts of law, state trials, and large public assemblies. Its immense roof had come to symbolise royal authority centuries before it would also become a setting where that authority was openly questioned. To the right, Westminster Abbey dominates the scene as the spiritual centre of the nation. For generations, it had been the place of coronations, royal funerals, and the burial of kings and queens, reinforcing the sacred nature of monarchy. By 1647, the Abbey existed in a tense space between long-held tradition and rapid upheaval, as religious divisions began reshaping England's institutions. At the centre of the view are Westminster Stairs, a busy riverside landing where people arrived and departed by boat. In a time before bridges and paved roads shaped daily movement, the Thames served as London's main artery, carrying politicians, clergy, messengers, and ordinary citizens straight to the seat of power. This etching depicts the Palace of Whitehall in 1643, then the largest royal residence in England and the monarch's principal home. From its river-facing steps, kings and courtiers arrived by boat, highlighting the Thames as London's main route of movement and authority at the centre of the Stuart court. Extending along the river, Whitehall was not a single building, but an expansive complex of halls, chambers, and administrative offices, where royal government was carried out. Most of Whitehall was destroyed by fire toward the end of the 17th century, and today only the banqueting house remains, the final trace of what was once the heart of royal life. This scene also shows Richmond Palace in the 16th and early 17th centuries, one of the most significant royal residences beyond central London. Rebuilt by Henry VIII on the site of an earlier medieval manor, Richmond became a favoured retreat for Tudor and early Stuart monarchs, offering cleaner air and open space away from the crowded city. It was here that Elizabeth I spent her final days, dying at the palace in 1603, an event that marked the end of the Tudor dynasty. Over time, Richmond Palace fell out of favour and was gradually taken apart. Today, its former grounds are part of modern Richmond, with only faint traces of its walls and layout surviving beneath present-day streets and along the riverside paths. Standing back and reflecting on these moments, it becomes difficult not to sense how close the past truly is. These streets, buildings, and events helped shape the world we now inhabit. Through these reconstructions, we are offered a brief glimpse of what it may have felt like to be there. If there is another city, another period, or a historical scene you would like to see brought back to life, share it in the comments. I would love to continue building this journey into the past with you. Thank you so much.